I'm Gabriel, and this is Black Forest Comics Weekly Review, episode 37, where we're going to talk about comics from last week, as well as comics from this week, and some news that came up. So let's get started with last week's comics. Alright, so first up we're going to have issue number 9 from the all-new, all-different Avengers. So this one's going to find the first appearance of the new Wasp. And this Wasp is not the daughter of Janet and Hank, but it's the daughter of another Russian lady, Hank's first wife, named Maria, who was kidnapped and killed, and they raised Nadia in the Red Room, which is a Russian assassin place. And she came and she joined the Avengers. This is her first appearance, first origin, and it's her joining up with them and becoming part of them. So it's a really good issue. This video is going to be super condensed, so you're going to get the quickest version you can about these comics. So that's that. All right, moving on to the next one. We're going to have issue number 52 from the new Batman story. This is going to be the conclusion of the new Batman before we get into the Batman Rebirth with the new DC Rebirth. And so this one's going to have, it's a one-shot story. It's from Tyronian the Fourth. Tynan the Fourth is his last name. And it's all about Batman's past, how he lost his parents, how he dealt with the grief, and how he moved on from that. So it's a really good series about overcoming grief, overcoming past issues, and moving on with stuff. So if you have a chance, check that out. Batman number 52, the new artist, the new writer. Art, I'm not super sold on, but that story, man, that story is really good. So check that one out. All right, next up, Swamp Thing. Issue number 5. Now, if you've been keeping up with Swamp Thing, this is going to be a short-run story for DC, mainly because they're doing their Rebirth thing. But this one finds Alec Holland had given his powers up to a friend of his named Frank. Frank turned out to be an evil jerk, and he's trying to take over the world. And so the Council of Trees has told Alec, here's your second chance. You need to get back the Swamp Thing power and become the Avatar of the Green again, because the Avatar of the Green is super overpowered, because that's the way DC does their characters. He has the power to literally destroy the world in a breath. So that's Swamp Thing, issue number 5. So check that one out. Next up, Southern Bastards, issue number 14. Now this series, if you haven't kept up with it, I haven't spoke a lot about it. It's sports. I'm not a real big sports fan, but it's not just about sports. There's a lot of stuff going on. I've been reading the series. It's a really good series. So we're going to jump on right here because it's a new story arc. Earl Tubb was one of the main characters from the beginning, the first initial story arc. He was the coach for, because this is all based in Alabama. It has to do a lot with racial issues. It has to do a lot with violence at home. So it's a really good series. So this one takes up with Earl Tubb's daughter, Roberta, coming to take back his home, to take back what was his, and she's an ex-military. It's a really good story. If you haven't seen it, if you want to read about Alabama, I don't know if you're from Alabama. I don't know if this is a true rendition to you of what Alabama is, but my few experiences I've had there have kind of led me to believe that's the way things are, sadly. But check it out, Southern Bastards, issue number 14. All right, lastly, for our kids comic, we're going to have SpongeBob, issue number 56. All right, so this issue is going to find SpongeBob had teamed up with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and they kind of fell asleep or had some geriatric issues they had to deal with. And so now SpongeBob has teamed up with Barnacle Bill. And Barnacle Bill is an old superhero as well, who had a son with a lady named Cindy Suds. And now him and Gangplank Gus, the villain, are together fighting to go save Cindy, who's been trapped in this castle for like 30 years. Turns out Gangplank Gus is Barnacle Bill and Cindy Suds' son, who was just a rotten little jerk who grew up to be a big jerk. And yeah, they find all that out. SpongeBob saves the day somehow because he's SpongeBob. And that's the end of the issue. All right, so that concludes all of last week's comics. Let's talk about this week's comic. So there's a whole bunch of good series coming out this week. There was a whole bunch of series that started up last week. They were really good. You had Stargate Atlantis number 1, Vikings number 1 the week before. You had a few issues that started up last week. Again, we're going to have that same thing with this week. Adventure Time Ice King number 5, which has been a really heart-wrenching comic. It's been really good. All New Wolverine number 8, which has also been really well written. Archangel issue number 1 is going to start up. Beauty number 7, which has been a phenomenal story from Image Comics. Biggest Bang issue number 1 is going to be a 4-part series. Brutal Nature, also a 4-part series. Issue number 1's coming out. And the big one that everyone wants to read is going to be Civil War, issue number 0 is going to be starting up. Civil War 2, issue number 0. So again, this is going to have another Wasp story, another Wasp first appearance. So check that one out. If you went to Free Comic Book Day, you might have grabbed the premiere issue of that. All right, also we have Deadpool Last Days of Magic, issue number 1. It's going to tie into all the Doctor Strange stuff and all the stuff that's going on right now with the Last Days of Magic. Dr. Fate number 12, which isn't tying in because that's DC. Future Quest, issue number 1. So this is, if you remember Johnny Quest and all those old cartoons from way back when, this is them starting over in comic book form. There's a lot of new comic books that are going to be coming up, such as Scooby-Doo, Apocalypse, Wacky Land Racers. All these new comics are coming out, and they're based off the old cartoons, but written in Apocalyptic Land style. So it's really amazing. It's a really cool idea. Also, Grumpy Cat and Pokey issue number 4 is coming up. Harley Quinn issue number 28, which you know how I feel about Harley Quinn. Invincible number 128, which is another Robert Kirkman hit, man. You can't go wrong with that one. Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, issue number 2 from Wildcard. Poison Ivy, Life and Death, Cycle of Life and Death, issue number 5 of 6. Power Man Iron Fist, issue number 4. Squadron Supreme, issue number 7. The conclusion of Superman American Alien will be coming up this week. Tank Girls, 2 Girls, 1 Tank, issue number 1. So it's going to be another 4-issue series from the creators of Tank Girl, the first comic. Wrath of the Eternal Warrior, issue number 7. And lastly, Exo Man-O-War Annual for 2016, issue number 1. So we'll check that one out from this week. All right, so let's look at the news. First up, there's a lot of news that we're going to try to cover in a short amount of time, so I'm going to run through this real fast. First up, Darwin Cook has passed away this past week. Darwin Cook was primarily a DC artist. He did some amazing stuff. He did The Last Frontier for DC. He did a bunch of cool stuff like that. So our condolences to his family and friends. He was a great artist. He was young. Sad to see him go. Also, Ruben Navarro, if you're into Hispanic music. Emilio Navarro has passed away. Another young person passed away. All right, so that's going to be non-comic related news. Moving on into the comic news. Darth Vader is going to wrap up in issue number 25. This isn't a cancellation. This is because, well, you know, it's written in the middle of the New Hope. So it's going on to the New Hope now. So it goes through the movie. All right, so that's going to be issue number 25 is going to be the conclusion of the Darth Vader story arc. Also for DC, of course, the Rebirth is coming up. There's a whole bunch of amazing things, so start checking out your local comic book shop. Squadron Supreme had killed Namor, and in Squadron Supreme issue number 10, you're going to find them trying to bring him back to life because they need him because, after all, in the Marvel world, he is the king of Atlantis, so you need Namor there. Also, in the Uncanny X-Men issue number 11, we're going to see the return of the all-new, all-current Hellfire Club. So that's going to be really cool to check that out. And then in the Spider-Man world, in the Dead No More story arc, we're going to see the return of a whole bunch of dead people. I'm talking about the Vulture, Gwen Stacy, not from the 0161 universe, but from the current 616 universe. We're going to see a return of a whole bunch of those characters. All right, so that's going to conclude the comic news. Let's move into the movie news. Michael Dorn, who was the Commander Worf in Star Trek, has confirmed that he's looking to start a movie. So if you want to, support Michael Dorn in starting Commander Worf, the Star Trek movie, check it out online. Also, Tetris, the movie, got funding. What are you going to do with the movie about Tetris? I'm not sure, but go for it. And also, conclusion in the movies. Transformers number 5 has a title, The Last Night. Do you really want to know about it? I'm not sure if I really want to know about it, but there it is nonetheless. It has a title, The Last Night. Things are probably going to blow up excessively. All right, and into the TV. Agent Carter was canceled, but there's a petition online right now that you can sign to get her signed onto Netflix and have an ongoing series there. A female protagonist as the lead character in a TV show that was a good character. We'd love to see that keep going. Also, Supergirl was also canceled, but is now on the CW. Hopefully they don't turn it into the whole daytime Emmy award-winning drama that they're turning Arrow into, because, you know, I'm sorry. Just don't do it. Supergirl's good. The writers are good. Please take those writers with you to CW. All right, so that's going to conclude it. Let us know what you're reading. Let us know what you want to talk about in the comments below. We'll see you next week. Pickle Bill. Teaming up with Starface guy and his other guy. I was going so smooth.